Hey, what's up? On today's YouTube video, I'm going to tell you why you should not buy a Procharger Supercharger for your second generation Toyota Tacoma. All right, so first I'm going to walk you through the engine bay of what a Procharged Toyota Tacoma looks like. So if you're wondering, this is not a third gen. This is a second generation Tacoma that we converted the front end to a third generation Tacoma utilizing some awesome parts from some manufacturers that we really dig. If you want to see a video on this, go to our channel and check out the not a third gen YouTube video. So let's get back to the Procharger. So as you can see, this is a second gen. Procharger is actually based right here in Kansas City. They're like 20 minutes from us. And if you aren't familiar with Procharger, Procharger has been massive in the performance and tuner world for a really long time. Procharger is a staple name in the industry of speed. I remember when I was a teenager, I was messing with Prochargers on old Camaros with my brother, and Procharger is such an awesome name if you like to go fast. So when they came to market, asking for vehicles, they were specifically looking for Toyota Tacomas. I just went, wait, hold on, what? Procharger on a Tacoma? Yes, let's take a look at this. So we got in contact with Procharger. They were in this development phase where they were trying to prototype the kits and get them on vehicles so they could get them tuned and get fitment all dialed in. And so it was right in the time that we were doing a Tacoma build for the shop. We were originally going to do a third gen build, but we wanted to do a second gen build, so we kind of married both together, and this is what we ended up with: a Procharged 4-liter V6 second generation Tacoma with a third generation look on the front end. So aside from the front end, let's talk about the Procharger. So unlike other superchargers that are available out there that are, replace your intake manifold to more of it like a root style, Procharger is what's called a centrifugal supercharger. So it is still like other superchargers where it is obviously belt driven. It's not a turbocharger that's driven by the exhaust gases from the engine. It's mounted with a bracket that they have made, everything that they have made and manufactured in-house. That sets it just over to the passenger side here. It adds a pulley off the main crank so that you can get your drive belt here to spin the pulley for the supercharger. So the nice thing about the Procharger kit as compared to a lot of others that are on the market is that it is full air-to-air intercooled. There is no water intercooler, there's no second oil lines, coolant lines, anything else. Procharger is a direct bolt-on system. The only addition that you have to do outside of the actual unit itself is plumbing in right here. So as your OEM intake typically would go that way into your intake box that's there, it cuts back through and comes this way, jots down underneath of your top core support right here, and goes to a massive winch-ready air-to-air intercooler that again is manufactured in-house by Procharger. If you look through the front right here, you can see it staring at you through the grill. That runs over here to the outlet here from the Procharger Supercharger. So it takes in air through the intake filter that's here into the supercharger unit, does all of its magic and crazy noises and science and wizardry happens in here, shoves a bunch of very angry, happy and angry and hot and cold and fast moving air out of there through your air-to-air intercooler here and into your engine, where it makes explosions and science and more magic happen at a faster rate, and it makes your button cheeks do this every time you push the pedal. So let's get into the real nitty-gritty of the Procharger Supercharger. All right, so now that we've kind of seen the kit, we know about all the crazy technical details that I didn't give you any of. Let's talk about what we all actually care about, power. So a lot of people's biggest concerns or potential complaints with centrifugal style superchargers is that specifically on off-road vehicles, trucks and stuff like that, is where the power band, where is the primary, the largest point of power in which, where it's going through your RPM band. So, in the off-road world, you like power down low. These V6s, don't have a ton of power, and then you slap 35-inch tires and a bunch of other stuff on there. Sometimes they're lacking for power. So the nice thing with the Procharger unit is because of the design and the size of the pulley that they have, surprisingly, the power delivery for this is really stinking good. I have put thousands of miles on this kit now, a lot of them being off-road, and I've been just absolutely thoroughly impressed with the kit. It puts down 380 wheel horsepower and just under that same number in torque to the wheels. That was done on dyno here in Kansas City. It was done when the vehicle had stock gears and 34-inch tires. So if you go on their website, they've got a bunch of other dyno charts. There's quite a few other Tacomas, as well as 5th generation 4Runners here in the Kansas City area that have these kits and have had them for almost coming on to a year now. It have similar results to the wheel, and that just translates to a lot of speed. This thing, surprisingly, is really fast. So now, as it sits, you can see it has 35-inch, really heavy Elo tires. They're Nitto Ridge Grapplers. We have re-geared the vehicle now to 529 to spin those over a little bit more efficiently. But as you can see here later on the video, this thing will scoot. Now, before we re-geared the truck to where we were running 34s and stock gears, it still moved really quick. I mean, stock GX460s, it would romp them. So as far as power delivery goes and where the power delivery is within the power band, pretty much just about 2,500 or so. Good majority of the power really starts to kick in. 2,500 to 4,500 is its big old sweet spot, and it does not flat top at the upper end of the power band. I mean, pretty much 2,500 to red line, it is full power delivery, and it just screams. Nice thing is, if you want to just baby it and drive it like it's stock, it does that. It doesn't have any weird burps within the power band. As you're shifting through gears, it doesn't hunt anymore. That was the main thing that I noticed was big 34-inch heavy tires, stock gears with a lot of weight. We had a topper on it, a bunch of other stuff. It was always wanting to just shift and just hang low in the RPM because it had tons of more power on tap there. It wasn't hunting for gears ever. And if you wanted to get in and clear traffic or something like that, it would just throw you into the back of the seat. So as far as integration into the kit, Procharger gives you everything that you need to install this right out the box. Every single component, you don't have to go out and buy anything else. Includes tuning and everything like that as well. You don't have to dyno tune it. They give you a flash tune for it, similar to other superchargers that are there on the market. So you buy the supercharger kit, you have a shop like us install it, or you install it at home if you're very mechanically inclined, and you don't need any extra components. So as you can see within the engine bay here, because it's quite a large unit, it's mounted on the passenger side and it eliminates your factory air box that's here. It is a D1SC supercharger unit, which is not a tiny supercharged unit. It's a very efficient unit, but it's not small. So the only disadvantage would be with this kit, you will not be able to run a secondary battery in your second generation Tacoma. So that is one thing that just to be note of on the second generations. You will not be able to run a secondary battery, at least in the engine bay, because of how much space that it does take up here. A lot of the advantages, like we mentioned earlier, we've got no water pumps, we've got no water lines, and we've got no added oil lines, anything. Everything is contained within the unit. It has a dipstick that's on here, and a little fill port that's here, and a drain plug that's run down to the frame rail down below that you can't see. And you change the oil in this unit similar to as you would change the oil in your vehicle. Procharger gives you a couple bottles for your first few changes out the gate, and yeah, so it's a pretty solid kit. We've been waiting to do a video on it. We really wanted to get some seat time in it. We had it in hot weather. We've now had it in cold weather. Had it off-roading. Done some pretty heavy water crossings, a lot of mud wheeling. We did a lot of Ozarks wheeling in it. Just wanted to see how the unit would perform real world. I mean, towing. We had it towing an Opus trailer. We had it towing utility trailers. We had it towing a BRX trailer. We had it loaded out with a topper and a bunch of weight and gear in the back, with a bunch of people in the vehicle. We put it through a lot of different scenarios because we really wanted to see how this unit acted for all of the things that we would use the Tacoma for. Daily driver, wheeling, towing, hauling. And I am been absolutely pleasantly surprised. Beyond that, it is the best sounding supercharger that you can put on the second generation Tacoma. And so let's go show you that. Let's go for a drive. So first things first, how does it sound? It sounds really good. So just driving normal, vehicle operates as if it was pretty much just stock. Can't really hear the unit much. Rather than a root style blower, these centrifugal blowers similar to turbochargers have blow off valves. So as you're not in throttle and you're actively applying, more than a tiny little bit of throttle, it is going to be venting the boost pressure that the supercharger is building from its spinning. So it's going to be venting that. So you can hear, I'm going to drive a little bit, do about 25% throttle here. Shifts really quick, RPM stay nice and low. There's just so much more power that's there that's available. The transmission, the engine doesn't have to work as hard anymore to move the vehicle so it can downshift or can shift a lot quicker. So let's come out here, let's do 50% throttle from a stop. Maybe more like 40%, not much. So we're gonna get up over here to where we can really pick up some speed, and we will show you just how fast a Toyota Tacoma with 35-inch tires can be. Go ahead and turn traction control off all the way. If I do full throttle from a dig, it's going to completely spin through first gear, so I'm going to give it about 75% throttle and then full throttle. So that was about 75 miles an hour. We have not done a speedo healer yet, so our speedometer reads very off. But that was 0 to 75. Pretty darn quick for a second generation Tacoma with 198,000 miles and 35-inch tires. We'll come around here. We'll do like a rolling start from about, we'll do like 10, 15 mile an hour rolling start, so it'll downshift from what feels like third down to first, probably second. supercharger whine, as you're not really getting into it. You can hear a lot more happy noises when you really are digging into the throttle. But the two biggest things that I noticed the most out of the kit is just then we showed you, but right here, normal driving, boom, upshift, boom, upshift. I mean, it's constantly kicking into the next gear because there's just so much power that's there on tap. If I'm just driving as normal there, I'm already in right there. Okay, 5th gear. I'm going, 50 miles an hour, and I very quickly went through all the gears down to 5th gear, and I have power. Like, it's not going, if I want to pick up speed, I'm not going to have to sit here and, downshift into 2nd or 3rd gear. It just maintains its gear, has power on tap there, and just rolls. So from a daily driver perspective, it is really, really enjoyable. When you've got fully built rigs with a lot of added weight and big tires, the driving characteristics just get to be pretty sloppy and boring and frustrating, and this eliminates all of that, and adds the smile factor of this. Pretty noises. Very, very, very pretty noises. So you can drive the truck normally, acts as if it were just a normal, naturally aspirated 4-liter V6, and if you, want to have some fun with it, you can. So, to conclude, you definitely should not buy a Procharger Supercharger for your 2nd generation Tacoma if you don't want to have a really fast Tacoma. You should also not buy one if you don't want to have a minimum of a 45% increase of horsepower to your Tacoma. You should also not buy a Procharger Supercharger if you don't want your Tacoma to make super awesome sounds and you don't want to feel like a kid again every time you drive your truck. Also, definitely don't buy one if you don't want to be the fastest Tacoma in your neighborhood or in your town. So for sure, don't buy one, because why would you want to have a really fun, fast truck that makes really awesome sounds and is just generally more enjoyable and way better to drive? Why? I don't know. You shouldn't buy one. But if you decide you do buy one, call us. We'll install it for you. We'll sell it to you. We're a dealer for Procharger, and we'll get you hooked up.